This is part 2 of a 3-part documentary series about the rise and fall of Privateer Press and their games Warmachine and Hordes. If you've not seen part 1, I would recommend watching that video first, as it will give you all of the sort of background knowledge that you'll need going into this video, and part 3 should be playing shortly after. There is also the full unedited documentary that gives you a complete picture from start to finish. Enjoy.
It was, hilariously to say, the next big thing, and everyone was hyping it up to be the Warhammer GW killer. And it had a flash moment of when it was outselling it, and then when it was at its peak of the powers, it fumbled the ball, shall we say, and...
What's up? This will be our first Fields of Ruin game because Scabrous is broken. I say he's playing against Coop with Coddor. What's Crix got?
Crix is running P. Gaspy, Cankerworm, Malice, 2 Death Rippers and a Seether, minimum unit of Bane Thralls with the UA, the Warwitch Siren, with a Shadow Combine, Tartarus, and minimum Bane Knights.
So what'd you do?
What did I do? I killed some stuff.
I did a boosted range shot on him. I needed an 11, got it, and
it was
minus
just
5.
minus 5 on damage, and he rolled a 5 and
I
2
rolled
ones.
2 1. Just enough potential.
Just enough.
So this little Man of War, probably MVP.
I thought you had this.
I thought I had too, and then all of a sudden, like, he, like, just doing stuff. I'm like, you know what, he's got a straight shot at me.
This coming Saturday, there will be a tournament again in Bakersfield with Tin Man. Hordes Genesis, 35-point tournament.
Tin Man.
Hey, that for a second I thought that was a flip cam.
No, it's not a flip. We are here, Bakersfield.
It's on. Got the old GWW with the double white.
Tournament is getting set up right now. Got Dan, Tin Man, Tom, Percy. Okay, tournament started.
Yes.
Scorn, Menoth, Legion, Coddor, Scorn, Crix. And there's Tin Man. He was running the whole thing, which is awesome. So, good luck in your game.
Thanks, man. It just defeats me in the soul.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another fun day was had here at Paladin's Game Castle.
Yeah. So, to break it down to you, I took a destroyer and a Kodiak. Oh, I lost.
And we are leaving Bakersfield.
Beaten, battered, bloody, bruised, but happy as hell nonetheless.
Yep. There goes Paladin's Game Castle.
Bye, friends.
We'll try me back for another steamroller here pretty soon.
Yes, we will.
it just kind of is sad. Like, you look back on it and it's like, I've met friends for life through playing Warmachine, and I would not be having some of the friends I have now because of Warmachine. And like, it's pretty crazy when you think about some of the interactions you've had over a miniatures game, and you explain it to people and they go like, oh, so you roll dice and you move models. I'm like, yeah. They're like, is it fun? I'm like, yeah, it is.
How did Warmachine die, and why did it die?
Okay, so this is me saying this. I'm not going to say for the community. I can't speak for everyone because everyone has their own things. So obviously with Warmachine and with any game system you always have the competitive scene. So on our podcast, Murder of Crows, we talked to, eventually our panel was basically made of really good British players that played competitive Warmachine, and a filthy casual known as me. So basically we had the competitive aspect of Warmachine and the non-competitive aspect of Warmachine. And that's with most games. If there is a game out there, they're going to try and turn it into a competitive thing.
We have all these great formats for organized play in 2013, but you know what? We wanted more.
Warmachine ended up being a very competitive miniatures game, and that's the way I saw it going in our local area as well in Leicestershire, was we would put on tournaments and it would just be, I'm only practicing this one list.
It's that drive to want to be the best and compete and turn it into a real sport where you really achieve something when you destroyed your friend on a tabletop. No, not really for me personally. Like, you know, I just want to roll some dice and have some fun.
Some of the things in this game were like brutal. Like, you couldn't kill them, but you could kill them if you knocked them down. But they were like little trigger things you'd need to know, obviously, if you played the games.
As Signar is wrapping up their turn, he has nullified that Reckoner.
I cannot believe that is a move right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's
arm lock for the win.
Arm
in
lock
Iron
for the
Gauntlet.
win in Iron Gauntlet. You know, and that is the caliber of play that you see. I mean, who would have thought to bring out an arm lock at this point?
Yep.
It's, you know, that's genius. It's up there with the push to assassinate, but even better.
Sure.
Chandler trying to figure out a way around that arm lock and asking if he cripples the arm that is dealing the arm lock if the lock is broken.
He can ask that, but what is he going to cripple it with?
So like, oh, I just need to beat your defense to kill you. I'm like, no, I just need to knock you over. Why? Because then that means I can buy more attacks because I'm auto-hitting and I'm just going to try and murder you. And they go, oh. And you're like, yeah, sorry, bro. Like, I used to play a lot of a warcaster called Sorsha and Beast 09. If that crit hitted you, you just became stationary. So hitting you was like a 5+ on 2 dice. That's really rare, but also it then made you like immobile. So basically you then had this giant strength 19 hammer coming down on you, and most armor was like 15. So you're already doing 4 points of damage. Most warcasters had 15 health. So a couple of boosted attacks into them, you're dead.
Oh my gosh! No. 22 damage.
It's the oldest gag with Warmachine will always be the idea that you show up for a friendly local game with your good friend, and it's like, right, time to bring out the most cheesiest bullshit list. And
It's true.
My turn. So your casual friend goes, right, I move my guys forward. No one's in range. No one can charge combat. Right, onto you. Great. I move my guys forward. Feat, spell, ability, spell. Roll some dice. That's it. Your warcaster's dead.
Yeah, I did it on one. I trolled in one tournament. I literally took Zakova, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is she?" And I was like, "I know. Who the hell is she?" And then I basically popped my feet, and the guy was like, "What does it do?" And I was like, "This." And I explained it, and he just. Every opponent I went to in that tournament went like, "No, it doesn't." Judge. By the end of it, and I can quote, I won't throw this judge's name under the bus, came over and was like, "Lee, are you playing Zakova again?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Just fucking stop it, please," effectively. And I was like, "They don't believe me. I'm telling them the truth." And he's like, "Have they read the card?" I'm like, "Yeah, reading the card explains the card." But they just never believed me that she just basically just wags her finger and goes, "No, can't do that. Sorry. Just one turn where you're not going to do anything."
Alright, here's a fun one. What army do you hate facing? What army just makes you go, ah, when you see it on the table? Menoth. But I hate it when I play against Troll Bloods.
Crix, without a doubt. Every time that, I've got my butt just, stomped into the ground. It's been from Cricks.
The amount of fire they can put out, the sheer number of weapon masters they have, and the overall synergy of the army, when it works perfectly behind a good player, it is really incredibly hard to beat, and I just seem to struggle against them the most out of every faction.
And it's because of one thing. I've lost more games to successful tough rolls than anything else. I absolutely hate tough. Love troll models, thinking about getting into them one day, but just not a fan of tough.
And it really hasn't mattered who played them. As long as there was Cricks on the table, not good for me.
There is a few factions where you go like, I don't want to play this faction ever again, this sucks.
Warmachine is a competitive game. Hordes is a competitive game. And it makes no attempt to pretend that it is anything other than that. A lot of the things that would come out of early tabletop wargaming culture, like win-at-all-cost gamers, owe their direct lineage to Warmachine and Hordes. That was the birthplace of win-at-all-cost gamers.
So Brian now considering where he needs to go next.
What to do? What to do?
I think he's going for that assassination.
Checked line of sight. Line of sight is good. So Lilith is up there.
All right, time to pincushion that woman.
They're double checking the 16 inches.
Got it
this
by
is a
more than
snapfire
enough.
shot. Here we go.
So boost it.
Does Haley go down? Needs an 8 to hit. Got it.
That'll hit.
Dice off 2. Boosting damage.
Oof. 15 boxes on Haley. Needs a big roll here. 15 points
on the
shot
nose.
to 1.
And Brian White wins the game one-shotting Haley.
One shot to the eyeball of Haley. Takes her right down.
Crap.
Wow.
That was insane.
Well, you said Karma would give him the high rolls. Apparently, you were correct about one thing this weekend.
And it was the one thing that
this
mattered.
weekend, and the one thing that mattered.
You either beat the other guy and killed their warcaster, or you lost. That was it, right?
In that community of players, you have very few people, and they do exist. The genuine people that want to, get better. So they'll happily tell you everything and guide you to make you a better player, so that you're a better challenge for them. Yeah. But there's also, a lot of people that aren't very good and will take every opportunity to not tell you something, to pull the wool over your eyes and get a victory, even though it's hollow and they've cheated. They don't care. On their app, on their phone, that's another victory in my stats. That's a 99% win rate now.
Like, we know at least one person who's tried the game out, played it with someone who's a complete tournament player, has completely smashed them, and they've been like, I have no interest in this game. And that is an issue with the player, but there's a system there that allows that element of poor behavior.
Just like anything, if you're not replenishing people that leave the hobby, it's
Correct.
the leaky bathtub theory. If you've never heard about it before, the hobby's a leaky bathtub. You're constantly losing hobbyists, so you have to replenish it with new water, right?
Yeah.
So any miniature game that's not doing that, actively recruiting people, they're just getting smaller every year in size.
And that, for a lot of people, where they're like, I think those miniatures are cool and I like the game, which is essentially me. Those are pretty cool miniatures. I like the game. I like the way you attribute damage and hits.
Everything became game pieces and chess pieces, and the hobby element was missing. Not that people didn't. Lots of people painted their Warmachine armies, but most of them didn't. If you went and witnessed competitive events, it was just great.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another, at the end of the day with Games Workshop pieces, they do cultivate a hobby mentality way more than any other company.
Go into mouse mat terrain. I mean, at that point, what do you want to play a tabletop game, or do you want to just play a top-down computer game where everything's 2D and measurements perfect? And that's another thing, is you start getting to the boundaries start to blur between, are you playing toy soldiers and miniatures, or are you playing a competitive game with, very strict boundaries and non-abusable mechanics? I mean, we've all played the tabletop game where somebody's measurement's not quite on point, and you let it slide in some games because you think, actually, what are they going to gain from half an inch? But in Warmachine, you gain quite a lot from half an inch. It could be make or break. It could kill your warcaster. It could end the game and ruin your tournament.
Introduce an element of uncertainty that I could see being a problem, especially if you're playing explicitly for speedy rounds, because that sort of disagreement, I thought that was this, it's not this, suddenly that turns into time on the clock and you're wasting time in a round, especially when some tournament players are playing 10-minute turns or whatever the fuck. It's that is razor thin.
These guys are gonna attack.
Uh-oh.
Nice down.
Oh,
I got more objectives! I have more objectives, people!
Wow.
Good game, Norbert.
Good game. Oh my goodness. I gotta learn how to play faster.
The jump between Mark II and Mark III, there were some huge rules changes which people didn't like. There was points changes, how everything slowly verged to having theme lists, where it was really cool to see. It was like, you can take this, this, and this. And you're like, okay, that's really cool. And then some of those theme lists were busted as balls.
Now, if you went to the website and you went to filter by unit, it was like hundreds and hundreds of units per faction, and they kept everything. And you started to run into problems where you had, and I mentioned the points numbers, where you had like, 15 units that were in the 3-point range and another like 8 units that are in the 4-point range. And how do you start differentiating their effectiveness? Because what will happen is you'll invariably just pick the best one of each category.
And the game doesn't protect you from that, because the game very clearly states that this is a competitive war game. And you're either in it to win it, and if you're not, then there's the door, and this game isn't for you. In your own words, what is page 5 in Warmachine?
What is page 5?
Oh God.
That's a copy from the original rulebook.
Yeah.
What is page 5?
What?
Oh, this is the thing that I thought was the coolest thing on earth when I was 13.
Page 5 was like the creative idea, wasn't it? I think. I can't remember, actually. That's a really... Page 5.
It's where to start, isn't it? It's a relic of a different time.
Yeah, I mean...
It's 100% based and not cringe in the slightest.
Warning, not suitable for wussies. Page 5. Sissies, little girls and Nancy boys should go home now. This game is not for you.
If you cry when you lose, get lost, 'cause you're going to lose. If it hurts your fragile sensibilities to see your favourite character get pounded unmercifully by a rapid succession of no-holds-barred iron fury, you'd better look the other way. If you've ever whined the words, "That's too powerful," then put the book down slowly and walk away before making eye contact with anyone, or they'll realise your voice hasn't changed yet. This is raw, this is brutal, this is Warmachine! So play like you've got a pair, or put down the medal and go join a quilting bee.
If you were to make this as a statement now, your game would bomb immediately. You would be cancelled. Is the truth of it?
I can tell you, in my whole time of doing Warmachine, I can definitely say I've heard play like you got a pair, but I never understood it came by page 5. And this was in the rulebook.
It was in every single rulebook.
Shut the front. 1 second. I'm going to quickly grab this. 1 sec. I'm going to laugh.
Mark 2 onwards, it would gradually change.
Shut up.
From Mark 2. So
yes, this is Mark 2, so it might be different.
It's going to be different. It's going to be a bit more toned down.
I'm going to re-attack this. So you're telling me on page 5...
Yeah, honest to God.
Shut the front door. Page 5, here we go. Okay, so the page 5... Oh, yeah, okay. Thou shalt not whine, come heavy or don't come at all. Give as good as you get, win graciously and lose vigilantly. Page 5 is not an excuse. Play like you've got a pair. Okay,
yeah.
I never... Yeah, you never really read those books. You go straight through the first couple of pages and go like, right, how do I play the game?
It's a little bit exclusionary. It's a little bit. It's almost trying to decide what your community is going to be, rather than naturally allowing your community.
And again, Warmachine and wargaming at the time was very different, wasn't it? You know, it's not. Your 4 teenage lads in a Games Workshop shop on an afternoon in 2004 would have read this and been like, "This is amazing, metal, yeah, let's play this game." Whereas now people are like, really?
Because they had this whole thing, this could be a hardcore game for men and manly men and butch men, and it's like, if you met wargamers, they're a little bit...
We didn't set out to reinvent the wheel with this game. We just armor-plated it, covered it in spikes, and rolled it over your grandma's house.
It's pretty embarrassing. To look back on, but that's as it was.
The game lives and dies by a community. I think also one of the factors, which I don't want to speak too much about it because I wasn't, was their press ganger thing, because a lot of people wanted to play the game, and they were given X amount of points to be a press ganger, that they could then spend those points to get models and stuff so they can keep playing their game, but they also gave up their time to do it. But the problem was, what they had was a lot of people were just doing it so they could get free models, and they never really cared about the community or did that. So you had people who were really passionate and people who were like not really into it, but they just wanted free stuff.
Press Gang has been around now for almost 14 years, good gosh. I think the very first Press Ganger was commissioned in 2002, and it really didn't quite kick off till 2003. Since then, it's been growing and growing as the game has. Currently, we have Press Gangers who service all 50 states, and we just got up to 43 countries that currently have active Press Gangers running events in them. We have everything from China, New Zealand, Croatia, all over Europe, Russia, the Philippines. We just added another one in Japan here recently, South Africa, so almost every continent.
Here are the details. Here are the facts. The other day here, Privateer Press put out a statement saying, we are disbanding the Press Ganger system. Thank you to everyone, but it's coming to an end. The reasonings that they give is that things are just getting so busy now. There's so many different press gangers. It's such a massive system to try and contain and actually use, and it's just not feasible anymore. So really, if you didn't know, press gangers, you had to run events, and when you ran events, you got points. And for these points, they had a store where you could go on and spend those points to get free stuff. So awesome. Press gangers got a little free something for running stuff. But some people are wondering if they're doing this for another reason. And another reason is that actually Wizards of the Coast with Magic the Gathering is going through a silly lawsuit right now where the judges there are trying to say, hey, we're doing this work and you're not paying us.
Magic judges, people who judge Magic tournaments and events, Magic the Gathering, the card game, they get sort of benefits the same way that, say, most demo team people get some sort of benefits. They either get special cards that only judges get, maybe, or I don't know exactly what they got, but they got some stuff. And a couple of Magic judges out west in the California region, from what I understand, sued Wizards of the Coast because they said, oh, well, since you're paying us, we're now employees.
Basically, their argument is that they're sort of overworked with no agreement of payment, and even though they're treated as employees, they have none of the benefits of being employees. And as employees, they deserve the rights and benefits that employees should earn. Things like meal breaks and stuff like that.
I don't know a lot about the case. You can go on to Wizards of the Coast website. They have a press release kind of explaining what's going on and how it's basically bunk in their mind, but of course that's what they have to do. I don't know which way's going either way, but I have a suspicion that something like that is kind of indicating which way the wind's blowing. So the source that I talked to said they were pretty sure the reason that Privateer Press had decided to get rid of the Press Ganger program was because they wanted to head that kind of thing off at the pass. They had a lot of people that they had given a lot of points to, and a lot of those points had turned into product that they had been, then purchasing with points off the website for Privateer Press and all this stuff. And they were concerned about potential lawsuits down the road, I suppose. So they decided we should really just kind of cut this off ahead of time.
Even though press gangers are a volunteer system, the whole fact that people might be trying to claim some lost fees could be a possibility. Now, whether that's real or not, who can ever know? We can never know if that's actually true, but it's something that might actually be there. Now, another reason why they could be doing this is actually just also the money. We're talking about all those points and all the free things they give out, and I'm sure with all these different people trying to give away this free product, it's probably cost them a lot of money. So to try and run this program, there's got to be a point where you're looking at the benefits to the cost and going like,
killing that program killed a lot of momentum for people who generally loved being a part of the scene and like, oh yeah, I'm giving up my weekend to help run, not play the game I love, just actually just judge and help out the community and help that when that program got killed, that was sad. But I also feel like if you kept that going, it probably would have lasted longer because there's some amazing people I've met who were press gangers, as they were called, And it was just really fun when all of them literally said, oh yeah, it's dead, so I'm not going to do it. And some people were like, well, it's sad because of this, this and this. And I won't mention names because I don't want to, but a lot of them were hurt by it because it was like a few bad apples ruined it for a lot of other people.
I met a lovely gentleman from Columbia here at Lock and Load that we've been talking back and forth, and it had been a bit hard for him. He helped bring the entire game into his home country and got it all started there because he was thinking about being a distributor. He didn't quite have the skill set and connections, but he got people going in it. So he basically founded the game there, and now he's supporting it in the press game program.
That's very good.
They did a lot of things right early on. Things like the press ganger program, things like, you know, trying to set up international distribution to get models around the world quicker. But the focus was always on the American market, because in a very short space of time, as an American company, they dominated the American landscape. If you were in America in the early 2000s and 2010s, Warmachine was on every shelf in every hobby store. You did not have to look far for a game of Warmachine. Here in the UK, or mainland Europe, or Australia,
Privateer Press basically kept everything to their side of the pond, so we would get it eventually, but it was always extortionate prices. I remember some of us were trying to get models and we ended up paying stupid amounts of postage and packaging just to get it, and it basically alienated like Europe and other countries.
It's more difficult to get hold of the competitive stuff, the stuff that people were running because popularity, obviously there's demand. The bigger retailers that sell, you know, large amounts online, and the American market would obviously, whatever was the most competitive items and the stuff that was made your list, you know, a reliable sort of gaming force that you could win games with, were harder to get hold of.
When I talk about tournaments, it's like I used to cover Worlds, which is basically countries send their best 4 players to go and play Warmachine to be the best in the world, and only if one country can have access to them, it's kind of like makes it a bit meh, you know.
Last year, our winner was from Australia. It was our first international winner. Before that, it had been USA, I believe, 3 years in a row. Australia took it away, so there's a little North American pride on the line this year. I bet.
because ultimately you're not going to worry about trying to distribute models to other countries if you fundamentally want your country to win.
Unit X that's really good for this particular faction that's popular, it's like, okay, we'll put it on order, and it would take a while to get hold of. You know, it wasn't a sort of it'll be a next week thing. You know, and you see that with any large game that's very, very popular, the demand outstrips. You know, it becomes the point where you might wait weeks or months, and to some point you might actually wait longer than that thing's a viable competitive unit. You know, by the time that it starts hitting the shelves again, everyone says it's dead. You know, that's the old way. This is the next hot things on order, so to speak.
And if we're continuously being discouraged by Privateer Press just not having their product available, we're going to start buying these other things. It's just the way that things go. And that is a major problem right now. That is why when I'm hearing from various other communities in North America, the game is a lot stronger and there's more people playing as opposed to over in Europe where so many people have given up on it.
Everybody that's in the community's got one, or God forbid, the rules change and nobody wants it because it's trash now anyway.
Privateer Press constantly kept changing things and errated stuff, so everything became digital, which for some people was easy to do, but not everybody, because everyone likes card and, you know, those old things. But then they would effectively say, okay, we need to errata some things, so this person's changing because of the meta of the tournament basis of things. So your original cards were pretty much becoming non-void. So you'd buy a miniature, it didn't come with a card, or it did, and then effectively a couple of months later it would change.
They would take models and put them in this like player testing pool, and players could take those rules, so they try to involve the players.
Right. Yeah,
and then something would like release. They'd be like, okay, this is it, and then people would backlash if they didn't like things. So then they would have to change it because they were like, now they were like, because they're working with the with the community, and now they have to like bend the knee when the community's annoyed. But this doesn't jive with model releases super well, because if that was supposed to be new release this month, but the players hate the rules for it, so now no one's buying that. Like, see where I'm going with it, right?
Yeah.
So
the most common feedback was, why would you order those in? And it's like, well, they're the start. They're the sort of get you started boxes. They're the first sort of tentative foray into playing the game. We go, oh no, nobody uses those. So a lot of it was just dead stock immediately.
They can't.
Well, the chain reaction that happens is often like forgotten about, right? So like if Y Hobby Shop has a big Warmachine section, and 90% of the wall on the blister rack is like stuff that's really just not moving. You have to times that by 10 or 100 when you go to the distributor level, and it just starts to this back up happens.
Then stores are still like, but I carry everything on the shelf because you guys aren't retiring anything.
Right.
So, and when they would make new stuff that was better than the old stuff, then the old stuff just sat there.
Like you don't want to put hundreds of pounds or thousands of pounds even into stocking something that's going to be dead stock, and then you can't then reinvest that money back into just restocking everyday items like paint and brushes and the usual stuff that does shift.
The high turnover things.
Yeah,
at the end of
the consumable sort of every day, every week things that people pop in and grab.
You already had like a bit of that discounting culture going on with like some, they didn't have the strong trade practices that Games Workshop does, whether you like that or not. It does protect businesses from racing to the bottom to destroy themselves. But you didn't have that protection with Warmachine, so like online web stores could literally mark their stuff up as little as like 5%, and essentially after shipping and fees like are making nothing, and every store is like, why am I selling this on my shop wall?
Another big competitor was doing all the right things and competing in the same space, and it kind of started to sort of die off at the same time that the other one is taking up that space, and ultimately I think it took a long time for it to completely sort of die a death locally, but it did. Even the guys that were hardcore Warmachine players were playing other things, and they weren't playing it anymore. And then at that point it was like, it's got to go on eBay. It's gathering dust. It's not selling at all. Nobody's interested. Not even your kind of miniature painters. Where they're like, well, I'll just buy it because it looks interesting. It's like it's just doing nothing. So at that point, you've got to kind of pull the plug and try and reinvest and use the shelf space for something that is going to get you some sales.
Yeah. America would always be the priority for new product releases because that was their backyard. That was their competitive edge from day one. They didn't have to worry about expanding into the world's largest economy. They were already there. And that gave them a tremendous advantage from the start. But later down the line, it would come back to haunt them.
Back in 5 years, I have a handful of wins, like maybe less than 10 wins.
Because if it's scattered, it would still knock down everybody, and then the other guy walked over and automatically hit because he was knocked down and did enough damage that would automatically kill his Warcaster. And so my last turn, I didn't roll any dice.
I then got up and was like, I know I'm going to kill you. And the guy was like, really? How? And I went, bum 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 game. And he went like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, I know. Oh, I'm going for a beer. Do you want one?
One of my favourite models I got into the game because of this was the Butcher. The newer sculpt swinging the axe is way cooler, but that was the first ever mini I bought. Another Butcher with, again, look at the yellowing, ugh.
Surrounded by ruination, you're waiting
I've been thinking over Josh. I run like a king and I'm like, oh,